spoke to Charlie Boy last week, and he said, "Look, this generation is gone. The people that are above 40, let's forget about them. Let's catch the young people." But who are the people who are going to step into that gap and lead these young people out of the rut?
I'm sure we all know people, good people, but those people don't want to come into this space because it's murky, it's dirty, it's seen to be as something that will change you. And because we have left it for so long, all sorts of people with questionable characters have now come in and taken over the baton. Now, to take it back from them, it's going to be war. And I don't mean physical only. It's going to be mental. We need to put ourselves in that space where we're thinking, the crumbs are not for us. We need to eat at the table, each and every one of us as citizens, you know. So we need to we have not gotten there. I'm telling you, Mimi, we're not ready.
So the question is, when are we going to get there? Because people make fun and say, oh, Nigeria is never going to change until Jesus comes. And that's for people who understand that there's a Jesus. The people who say that there is no hope, all hope is lost. And like you said, we have become the joke of nations. We used to be the big brother. But yeah, let's talk about protests. Back to Charlie Boy. He granted an interview saying that protests will not get our leaders to be accountable. It's not going to bring about any change. But in a democracy, that is the simplest tool that people, use when they're trying to get government's attention.
We saw the Arab Spring. That changed things. We saw the Arab Spring. People came out. The thing is, when people are short-sighted, when they're hungry, money to somebody, and then you see people break away, and then you see the crowd thinning out because they've now gotten for themselves. It's no more, or should never be, about individual, singular. It should be about the collective. It should be about our children. What are we leaving behind for them? I don't even know, because with all that is going on, child rape, there's so much going on. Insecurity, this, that, you hardly can come up for air. There's so much. Where do you start? Start from your mindset that you, in your own space, in your own little corner, you can effect change, and also that you can find like minds who will join with you. But there's poverty. So many people are hungry. Someone sent me a text today, and I was shocked. Please, I'm hungry. I don't have money. And that is what has been happening for the past 6 months. But even before then, there are so many people that do not have. And once you give them a little bit, they're willing to just, let me eat. Can I just eat?
Let me play the devil's advocate for a second. The guy who burned himself up during that caused the Arab Spring was a hungry person. So I think the question here is, how hungry are we? Are we hungry enough?
We are not hungry.
For the protests, again, do we even have it in us? Because I've never seen Nigerians protest more than 1 or 2 days. Maybe 3 days.
Maybe 3 days. We don't have staying power. By the time it comes to voting, you know what's going on. You don't just come, and vote just like that. Everybody should be a card-carrying member of the political party of their choice, so that with your numbers you can make a change. That's it. We're not ready. We're not ready. When we are ready, things will happen.
Well, like I said, I took over your live stream. So those who are watching us and you have questions, you've got comments.
Someone asking about the topic.
Yeah, we're talking about the social contracts between Nigerians and our government. Why does it seem like we're docile and we're unable to ask for accountability? Why is every election year the same? The same people come and snatch our ballot boxes. The same people beat people up. The same people are the ones standing by polling centers and sharing money. The same campaign slogans. Yeah. I was shocked. I'll tell you something. In 2015, I was doing some research as we were getting ready for the elections, and I realized that some of the things that the agenda that was set by politicians in the 1960s or 1970s Well, the same thing that politicians today were still advocating for infrastructural development. And I'm saying, so many years later, 60 or 70 years down the line, we're still talking about the same things.
Yeah, because there's no ideology. What's the ideology of any of the parties? What's their I won't say motto. What's the ideology? What's the morale? What ticks? What makes them tick? I mean, PDP, power to the people. Well, the people don't have power. What's the ideology? What is that thing that they stand by and say, regardless, this is our, byline. This is what we believe in. What do they believe in? To me, I'm sorry. It seems when you join the ruling party, your sins are forgiven. And you're on the other side, you will be prosecuted. Whether not, you should be able to stand for, to be taken account for the things that you've done wrong, regardless of the party you're in. Nigeria problem, we'll talk till next year. We are not ready.
Let's talk about the problems. There's also that part of it where it looks like our arms are tied behind our backs, especially for those of us who have a voice. Now, this every time I'm somewhere and I say I'm a journalist, or people hear how I talk about political or state issues, they ask me, have you gone to jail before? I say, well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad in my country. But unfortunately, there are things that are happening in today's world. There are bills that are being passed. There are government agencies that are used against the people, that they're used against the media.
Yeah.
On paper, seemingly as the media are free, but are we really free?
Of course you're not free.
Look at the FFK drama that happened in Cross River State Government's house a few weeks ago. And then, of course, Don Jazzy talking about, him being questioned, because of something he said. And the list is endless. If you speak up and it seems like you have a lot of people's attention, or you have the ear of the people, then you could be a target. So really, can we say that our democracy is really democratic, or is it a Nigerian way of doing things?
It's a Nigerian way of doing things. I mean, democracy means let's look at other countries that are practicing democracy. How many of them do we see? They let people talk. I mean, even with President Trump, we see people gathered in front of the White House. They are there. Nobody has come to arrest them. The police are just there, keeping the peace, making sure that everything's... But you cannot protest here unless you get the permission from the IG. I mean, what's that? Doesn't make any sense.
I have taken up a police AIG on that, asking if it's constitutional. But I don't see where it's written in the Constitution that I have to get an approval, because protesting is my right as a citizen of this country. So again, could it also be that we as Nigerians have failed to understand our rights, and the office of the citizen in this country is played down? And I'm wondering why, because we have the likes of you, the likes of Charlie Boy, and there's so many other people who are talking about it. But could it also be that maybe we have our priorities laid out somewhere else, and how do we redirect those priorities?
The office of the citizen is only on social media, because when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, you won't see that many people out there standing for what is right. You will see people who will try and hijack it. And then if you have this situation where people try and hijack the cause of why you're out there, then you should be able to turn on them and say, no, this is not what we're about. Let's look at Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. She just sat down and refused to stand up from the bus. And then there was nobody that said, oh, everybody just supported her. Now, do we have the critical mass, the number of people to support anybody who comes out? Okay, Two-Face wanted to do that, but he was threatened, so he backed out. How long are you going to stay in your house and be uncomfortable? For how long?
I'm going to say something in Efik. I hope that you can translate it to your people who are watching. So there's a saying in Efik that says, in other words, the politicians seem to maybe understand that we no longer... they know how
it's
to
just mouth. We don't have the bite. We only have the bark, so to speak.
So could maybe that's why it's a cycle that is on ending for us. So my last question before we take questions, and guys, if you're watching us, there's a question mark at the bottom of the screen. Just post your question. Kate and I can see the question. Once he clicks on it, she and I can see your question and read it. If it's on the timeline, it will be difficult for us to scroll up and down to read your questions. We have just about 5 minutes. We'd like to read your questions. The fact that our politicians are seemingly taking advantage of the fact that we're docile, we will scream about it, we sensationalize stories, and then the next day they give us something else to take our attention away.
Yeah, like off your mic has moved on to something else now.
So and the professor has gone back to business as usual. And we've also had the drama of the Chinese loans and Minister Amechi, and that's
so very soon we're going to be speaking Mandarin. Something else is going to come up and take our attention.
I need you to, if for example you were speaking at a Nigerian conference of Save Our Souls, what would you be advising us and all of the people who are watching us? What steps do we need to take so that we no longer are taken for granted? How do we break from this cycle of sensationalism, oh my goodness, and getting to following the story and the money? Because there is no story without the money in Nigeria, unfortunately. So where do we go from here?
Okay, take yourself as an individual. If you don't like a situation, you change it, don't you? You're not going to keep just managing. Okay, your job there, they're treating you bad, they're abusing you, you come in, they're pouring water on you every day, go and do your work, you won't stay there for too long. Now take that into the larger society. If that is how we're being treated, what are we doing about it? You have to speak to yourself, speak to your conscience, and speak to like minds. Like, is this how we're going to be? You need people who are courageous, who are fearless, who will not be bought, people who their head is screwed on right, who are about the nation. This country is a beautiful place. This is where I grew up. This is where I did all my education. I never, ever, ever knew tribalism years back growing up here. I served in the north in Bauchi. It was easy to get on Nigeria Airways and come to Lagos for a few days and then go back to my camp. But now it's like the north is there, south is here, east is here, it's breaking, and it shouldn't be. Yes, it's very true that our strength is in our diversity. So I would say let's have that mind, like they say on Twitter, get chests to follow something through to the very end. Take on one problem, see it to the end. Take on another one, see it to the end. Make your voice heard and then stamp your disapproval of anything that does not augur well for you as a people. You need to be able to come out and say no. At a polling booth, anybody you see who is not accredited, tell them to go away. All of you stand together. Make sure you stand there. Your ballot paper is counted. If you have to designate people to follow, all of you go to INEC office, count it, mark our number. Maybe that's how we need to go. We don't need someone taking the ballot box. Let's all follow it to where it's going to. Let's see the number written there. We need to follow through on every action that we take, on everything that we say or do. It's not just, off your mic, it's okay, next. How many things are we going to put under the carpet? How many? It's getting tiring. Even me, I'm getting tired. But this is the only country I have. I have only one passport.
Nobody's going to treat us any better anywhere else. Anyway.
I'm not going anywhere. They can't treat you any better anywhere else. So I'm telling you, even if you have their passport, you are not one of them. Here, you see this place. It's a beautiful place. And I pray that in my lifetime, before I die, I will see the change in Nigeria. And that we will be respected once again.
So, because this is not my live stream, it's yours. Let's see if we have questions in your question box. Let's click on the question mark. Are there questions there?
Hey, okay. You see, I don't do these things. Let us see.
So let's click on the question mark, and the questions. Click on to come on the screen.
Our leaders campaign, make promises, and get elected based on those promises. They then renege on them. They renege on the promises. What's the other question?
Ayo Adenira. Okay.
Yeah,
so how can we change?
Or can there be change in the mentality and ideology of the average Nigerian? Hey, Temio. You see, as adults, which most of us are, we know the difference between right and wrong. That's the foundation you know the difference between right and wrong. You know when you get to the red light at the traffic, you stop, you don't go. That is wrong. We all know, don't jump the queue, don't bribe, don't do this, refuse, So we all know that. But somehow, because it's us, we want for ourselves and we are selfish. That's why we don't see anything wrong if we do it. If someone else does it, we can point. But if it's you, it's okay. No, it's you, me, everybody, same standard, same everything.
I promised I was not going to ask you a question, but I have to. One last question.
Yes.
What about the home, the family unit? It's very important because this is where you're raised. When I was growing up, you were told, as a lady sits cross your leg, you don't jump into a conversation that you're not invited to. I mean, the morals and the value systems are built from the family unit. Do you think that maybe also, if we deliberately begin to reassess the way that we are parenting and molding our future, maybe that can be a place where we can start from?
Of course, it's always from the home. That's the first government. Your home, the family unit where you're raising your children to grow up and then be a part of the larger society. What are the nuggets you've given to them? What is the training? What is the ideology you've given them? What are you telling them? Are you telling them that as a man, it's okay to beat a woman? Or are you telling them you are the boy, you need to protect your sister? You also need to do some housework. It's not okay that you cross your legs and you wait for the food to be served to you like a king. You are part and parcel of this household. Each and every member of this household is an individual, a complete and whole individual. So when we all join together, we can make this house better. And as we move from the house to the office to wherever else we're going, we are imbibing and taking on those qualities and putting them out there. And that is what happens because, as I say, the leaders don't come from the sky. So if there's somebody doing wrong somewhere, there are people who know them to be this shady and still did not speak, still supported them to get to a higher place. And then now, the power that they have is just exposing them. Power doesn't change anybody. It just exposes who you are on a larger scale. It doesn't change anybody.
It amplifies.
Amplifies your bad behavior or your good behavior. Yeah, doesn't. I don't believe power changes anyone.
I want to thank you, Kate. It was a struggle to start. They blocked both of our accounts at some point. It was crazy, but we still had this conversation.
Yes, I just thought about it. I'm like, let me go on my live feed. Whether Mimi's people will not block me, I beg.
Anyway, we're going to be broadcasting this again. We're going to replay this on News Central TV. So those who are watching us, you can go follow at News Central TV on Instagram. Watch us live on our YouTube. This interview.
Hey guys, thank you everyone.
If you missed the interview, you can watch it from the beginning to end. Thank you so much. It's been a great conversation, and we still have to keep having these conversations because it's not. We need to keep having.
If you don't talk, your chest go bust. So it's better we talk. Let's talk so we don't die. We don't die in silence. But if you talk, you might die. If you don't talk, you still die. You might as well talk.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do it so that we don't get choked. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to steal this.
Of course. Thank you so much for your patience too, and mine.
And yours. Thank you. And thank you for inspiring me to keep running. You see, I'm still looking like a babe.
You look hot. You are heated.
Thank you.
Sizzling.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. This was a great conversation.
Thank you.